Hey, what's going on, guys? FlynnMasters coming at you with another video, and today I'll be ranking every chef of Hell's Kitchen Battle of the Ages. Now, this is another somewhat bland cast, but man, compared to Young Guns, I feel I have so much more to say. So let's get this list started right away with my least favorite chef of the season, in Tara. And again, I don't hate Tara by any means, and was obviously a big character in the somewhat bland season, but I just can't overlook her petty behavior, especially for her age. Her petty behavior she had towards her teammates, for supposed to turn on her, and especially her reaction to Alex when he used his punishment pass on her for very justifiable reasons. That was just not cool at all, in my opinion. And I've said it before, I'm sure the edit played tricks on us, but nonetheless, she's still my least favorite chef of the season. At number 17 is Charlene, one of the more forgettable first boots ever, which, like I always say, when it comes to the skill ranking, that's not a bad thing, as she had a good signature dish, and it wasn't like she was completely off on night one. But when it comes to a ranking based on how much I enjoy them as a character, yeah, Charlene just doesn't have much. I mean, even her elimination got overshadowed by Zeus's antics, so I know firsthand she's a sweet woman, but yeah, just a complete nobody as a character. And speaking of a nothing character, at number 16 is Vlad, who the only thing about him I remember is his relationship with Alyssa outside the show. I think she said he brags about himself on social media or something, but I don't remember. I will say it was funny that someone who looked just like Tommy from Survivor, Island of the Idols, was also as plain as can be. Again, it's like gingers with beards just don't make for good reality TV. But yeah, that's really all I got to say about Vlad. At number 15 is Nicole, who had a couple of notable moments, of course being a moron who served pre-made food in her signature dish, despite this being freaking season 21, and gave off one of the worst nomination pleas of all time. So obviously not much, but enough, funny bad moments to land her above the likes of Charlene and Vlad. On to the worst chef of this season talent-wise, in my opinion, and that is OShea. And that's pretty much the only reason why he's this high, as he was a massive part of the 40-somethings being a complete train wreck. And he represents the talent difference of the 40-somethings compared to the 20-somethings as a whole. Like, it is pretty crazy. I talked about the chef earlier, but at number 13 is Zeus, who, like I said, is responsible for getting this season started off with a bang, offering himself up literally at the last minute for elimination, only to get stepped back in line, only to get eliminated after Charlene, an all-time great elimination ceremony. Not only that, but you have his hilarious shark story, and just seemed like a goofball in general. It is a shame he left so soon, but he got the season started off with a bang, so at least he gave us that. And number 12 is Alyssa, a fine enough character, kind of a snarky, underrated, snarky confessionalist, and because of that, some people even label her as the villain of the season. Again, I don't see that whatsoever, or how you could even consider that, but, and it would have been interesting to see what she could have done had she survived that double elimination ceremony. So overall, I think 12 is a good enough spot for her. At number 11 is AB, and not much to say about him in all honesty, except that he was extremely passionate and won the better 40-somethings this season. And I always felt bad at his elimination, as he made like one small mistake, but that just so happened to come on a damn near perfect service all around, and he just had been doing a little bit worse than Sakari up until that point. So I always hate when stuff like that happens. It's just so unfortunate. So, I mean, he's AB, a totally respectable guy and contestant, which is why he lands here at number 11. At number 10 is Brett, who isn't that noteworthy of a character despite me thinking he would be coming into the season. But he's obviously remembered for setting the record with 3 team swaps, a record that would likely never be broken, with his third swap being very interesting. The only time Ramsay had a twist like that before actually eliminating someone, I always thought that was odd. So while not much of a character, I mean, he for sure had an interesting run this season, which is why he's able to land a spot in my top 10. You might be surprised I have this next chef so high, but that is Sakari. And yeah, he's one of the more invisible chefs ever who made a deep run. But the thing is, I and a lot of people agree that his purple edit made no sense, as he seemed like such a fun and interesting personality when he was shown. He was obviously a great chef, and I think with a better edit, he could have for sure been a top 5 character this season. But just the editors just didn't allow for that. It was just so strange. But for me, I'm able to overlook his bad edit and reward Sakari with a ranking in the top half of my list. At number 8 is Mindy. Again, not a super interesting character, but was naturally rootable given her story of getting bullied due to her weight, and seemed like one of the better 40-somethings, and her elimination is one of the more underrated unfair eliminations ever. Again, just simply a victim of someone who didn't fit the storyline of the season. That's literally it. I'm not saying she was poised for a long run this season or anything like that, but still. Mindy was very rootable, and it's a shame she was taken out so soon. And that chef who was unfairly kept over Mindy was Ileana, but I don't care. She definitely had one of the more interesting runs this season, going from looking all but certain to not even get a chance to cook on the line, but talked herself into a second chance, and would have been the first boot on the 20-somethings had the 40-somethings not been a complete train wreck. and hung around just long enough up until the Cook for Your Life challenge. So again, the fact that she got 11th place is pretty crazy, all things considered. But it's crazy for a reason, as she had quite the interesting underdog run, and is one of the more interesting characters of this season. At number 6 is Daphne, and I know a lot of people don't like Daphne, especially after she threw Cheyenne under the bus. I didn't mind her personally, and was happy she proved me right and made a deep run this season, despite a somewhat slow start. You know, and definitely had a bumpy ride for a Hell's Kitchen finalist. But again, for me, that just made for more interesting TV. So again, nothing really great or bad about Daphne, but due to her fun run to the final 2, she lands here at number 6. On to the top 5, and that is Be True himself, Billy. And man, let's be frank, this season really needed Billy. I know he's not everyone's cup of tea, but his over-the-top personality was solely needed on a season like this. Such a great character, and again, I loved his train wreck performances in the Blue Kitchen personally. So I know he may be too early of a boot to be this high, despite I think most people agreeing that he was a great character. But I still appreciate enough what he added to the season to put him in my top 5. At number 4 is Summer, who had one of the best turnarounds ever, as she seemed like one of the weakest members of the 20-somethings early on, and was quite the annoying loudmouth early on as well. But after the switch, she totally settled into her element, and that led to an incredible Final 4 run, to the point where in my mind, she was in contention for a finalist, and could even be argued as the second best chef in general this season. So while it wasn't like a super big face turn or anything, like I still did not expect much from Summer early on, but she proved me wrong big time. So massive respect to her for that. At number 3 is a chef who is right there with Summer for second best chef this season, and that is Cheyenne. And to be honest, I would give the nod to Cheyenne, as she even confirmed herself. She made like 2 mistakes all season, up until her meltdown at the final 5. A night where she literally almost got injured due to that all for reward. But yeah, while not a super engaging personality, Cheyenne is of course super consistent and likable, and the fact that this 21-year-old cooked miles times better than chefs that are 10 to 20 years older than her was freaking badass, which is why she lands here at number 3. On to number 2 now, and I did flip these two around, as at number 2 is Alejandro. And like I said in my favorite chefs video, I was mostly rooting hard for Alejandro simply due to me picking him to win and wanting him to prove me right. And he objectively had a pretty engaging run, as at times he looked like he wouldn't even get a black jacket. That would have made me look awful. Only to then damn near make the final 2. And I think we can all pretty much agree he was more deserving than Daphne, especially when it came to their past runs. But again, I just have to admit that he's just not as engaging as the obvious number 1 choice. And speaking of, at number 1 is now Alex. And yeah, what else needs to be said about Alex? An all-time great winner, super likable and a great confessionalist, Hell's Kitchen's first ever 40+ winner, was able to survive despite all the other 40-somethings getting decimated. I mean, this season was literally Alex's from day 1. And while that immediately made for a pretty obvious winner, which tainted the season a bit for me, you can't blame Alex for that. And he's an all-time great chef and awesome character, and is my favorite chef this season. So there you have it, guys, my ranking of every chef of Hell's Kitchen Battle of the Ages. Let me know how you all will rank this cast in the comments below, and be sure to hit that subscribe and like button, and be on the lookout for my final ranking video of the American Dream tomorrow. And with all that said, take care everyone, and I'll see you next time.